and welcome to Feed Your Brain. I am your host, Andrea Paratto. As responsible caregivers and care providers, are we collectively doing everything we can to enable our elderly to lead a life that is fulfilling and purposeful? I am joined today by Jean Makesh, CEO of the Lantern Group. Hello, Jean. How are you today?
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I want to talk a little bit today about caregivers.
I'm excited. I'm really super excited for you having me here again.
Oh, good. Because
Thank
as a caregiver, I would like to ask you if we, as caregivers, can combine learning and treatment as a part of the caregiving process.
Absolutely. One of the things I realized providing care to an Alzheimer is a team approach. It is a team approach. The last 15 years, what I noticed, directly engaging with an Alzheimer and seeing how our caregivers interact and engage, and how the other team members interact and engage. So in my mind, I truly believe that I think the caregiver has a power, and I mean it in a nice way, has a power, the knowledge, the time, the freedom of time, many opportunities a caregiver has to treat Alzheimer's disease, more than a doctor, more than a therapist.
Oh, do tell. I want to know more.
Oh, absolutely. See, when you look at neuroplasticity, let's talk about neuroplasticity for a second.
Okay.
Right? So for neuroplasticity to happen, a task that needs to be learned has to be repeated at least a minimum of 400 to 450 times for the neural network to form, for neuroplasticity to happen, for the individual to learn something new. Okay, now let's start with 400 repetitions. So how do we get 400 repetitions? Let's assume that I have Alzheimer's and I need 400 repetitions. I got to get at least, let's say, 4 repetitions a day. Okay. 4 repetitions a day, 400 repetitions. I'm going to need at least close to what? About 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to learn something new, for a simple task as feeding myself or combing my hair or shaving, I have to practice that at least. I can't even talk today. I have to practice that at least 400 times. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Now, let's say that if the doctor doesn't have the time to have me go through that 400 repetitions. Shaving is just a physical activity, an activity of daily living. I'm talking about memory.
Right.
I'm talking about problem solving. I'm talking about orientation, different cognitive functions. For me to register that for me to remember you, I have to see you 400 times. Okay. So if I want to remember my children, I have to see my children 400 times. And I have to keep seeing my children more frequently. So that is that learning memory. Similar to brushing my teeth, shaving or feeding. That's why if an Alzheimer is able to do certain things, if they're able to feed themselves, if they're able to shave, if they're able to brush their teeth, we have to keep encouraging them to do it. Okay. We want to keep getting those repetitions in, because if you don't repeat it, you will lose it. It happens normally, even with people with us without the disease. More so with Alzheimer's, because the brain is losing its neurons, and you don't want the pruning to happen more than what it should. The disease itself is chopping it, pruning the neurons. And you don't want to add or fuel that by not doing that task. Make sense?
So if you don't use it, you lose it.
If you don't use it, you lose it. So if you have an Alzheimer who can dress, bathe, groom, Have them do it, have them do it, have them do it, have them repeat it over and over. Now, coming back to talking about the caregivers having the power to treat someone with Alzheimer's disease, who can get the repetitions from the senior?
I have a good guess. I bet it's the caregivers.
It's only the caregivers.
They're in the rooms.
In the rooms.
All the time.
All the time, working with them. The caregivers know the senior's ritual.
Yes.
The caregivers now use the same ritual, emulate, try to create opportunities for the ritual to happen. And then the caregivers, if they want the senior to dress, encourage them to dress, break down the task, the dressing task into smaller steps. It'll take time, it's okay, but have them dress on their own. Don't rush through. So getting those repetitions, caregivers can get those repetitions. Incorporating fun activities, creating a fun environment would enable the senior to participate. So that's one way of retaining what you have. Now, in an activity setting, in a group setting, you have the activities director, who I also believe should be a caregiver. Because a caregiver is directly involved in the client's life. When I say client, the senior's life. Right. Right from getting the senior ready to getting the senior back to bed.
Right. Every aspect.
Caregivers are involved. So dressing is something that the senior has to learn. Getting dressed in the morning. When they go to the bathroom every 2 hours, or whatever the routine is, have the client, the senior, do the same task again. So that you get that repetition, dressing again, dressing, undressing when you go to the bathroom. Going to bed, same thing. You get the repetition. So that's why I feel that the caregivers have immense amount of power to treat someone with Alzheimer's disease. They can teach. I foresee caregivers in the future to be teachers, to be trainers, to be instructors, just not providing care, actually finding ways to create that music, incorporating the client and enabling the senior participate in the care. And I think in indulging them, in involving them, having them do those kind of activities is very important. And only a caregiver can do that. Now, a disease becomes a problem if the disease prevents you from caring for yourself, right? Or it kills you. Right. Or for caring others. Those are the three, right? Because a disease is a problem only if it impairs my ability to care for myself or care for you, or it takes my life away from me. Takes my life. So caring for myself is washing my hands, washing my face, shaving, feeding, brushing my teeth, dressing, bathing, walking, able to do stuff. Right. So if we are able to enable and create opportunities for our seniors to stay functional as much as possible by creating that cognitive reserve through neuroplasticity, through new learning, incorporating those sensory components that we talked about in our previous episode, the motor functions, we keep the brain healthy. We recruit neurons. Yes, we cannot stop the neurons from dying, but we can continue to find ways to recruit new neurons, create opportunities for neurogenesis, birth of new neurons, enabling the senior live a good, healthy lifestyle, go to bed timely, sleep well, good balanced diet, cut out high cholesterol food, more fibers, more vegetables, sleeping well, resting well, taking breaks, activities. I think all of this is part of a caregiver responsibility, right? Yes. It's not a therapist, it's not a physician, it's not someone in the hospital. That's why I feel that caregivers play a huge role, make a huge impact in our seniors' life. I always compare our caregivers to daycare providers. Children, when I drop my child off at a daycare center or pre-kindergarten, I'm dependent on those early childhood teachers, right?
Yes.
To teach and to shape my children. They learn the alphabets. Forget about alphabets, even to potty train.
Yes.
Simple basic stuff, basic communication skills, how to engage with socialization, all of that they learn. And I think that in our setting, in a nursing home, assisted living, memory care setting, I think we have to look to the daycare centers, childcare centers, how those early childhood educators are preparing the child to face the world, how they incorporate all the sensory components, all the motor components, the new learning. The early childhood educator is just not a teacher. They're also caregivers. They do party the kids. They do take the kids to the bathroom. They do dress them up, change. They do all of it.
Feeding, everything.
All of it. And I think we need that small mental shift. Is very important.
Yes, that was gonna be my next question. So I've been in the healthcare industry for over 22 years as a caregiver. And I haven't seen a whole lot of changes in the way that we care for seniors in the care industry. Do you think it is time for that traditional care model to kind of go the wayside and for us to find a different way? And how can we do that?
I think it's time. I really think I'm counting on the millennials and the Gen Zs to do that. I think it's time because if we continue to care the way it did, I don't think we're doing anything useful for our seniors. See, we have to look at our seniors and go like, okay, they have retired. It's time for them to thrive, no matter what.
Right.
And I think that mindset, we need to have that mindset. The mentality has to change. See, a child is seen as a future citizen. That's why we pour into a child's life.
Yes.
Right? Everything we do, we want to make sure the child gets the best education, best learning experience, best exposure, when it comes to anything and everything possible you can think of. Right from socialization to language skills to all of it, mannerism and things like that. But when you look at a senior, we don't look at a senior as a contributor, but we see a senior as someone who's consuming, who's taking everything, and they're on their way out. Now, you tell me, you and I, we work every single day for a way out or for a way in, to stay in, I should say, to stay in.
Right.
Our retirement is our way up to stay in and have a good time.
Yes.
Right? Have a good life. It's not a way out. So that change has to happen. That aging, the way we look at aging has to happen. There's this normal feeling and an impression and understanding is that when you're 40 years old, you're old. You start aging when you're 40. That is not true. Actually, we start aging the day we are born.
Yes, that's very true.
Right? Because, every day is, okay, you're a day older.
Yep. A week older, a month older.
Exactly. So we start aging the day we are born. So I think that, again, when we look at aging, we have to look at aging differently. And it's not when you're 40-year-old. I think when you're 40, you're beginning to live. For me,
good news.
For me, 70 is the new 50. 60 is the new 40. 50 is the new 30. And 40 is the new 20.
That's good news.
Think about it for a second. Do we live longer on this planet younger, or do we live longer on this planet older? So let's say that 40 is the cutoff age to be old.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
0 to 40, then you'll have someone living up to 90. That's 50 years.
Right.
So you are living longer older than living younger.
Right.
Okay, with technology, with medicine, with nutrition, with lifestyle changes, with planet being more green, all of that is changing. So it's time for us to look at aging very differently. It's time for us to look at caring very differently.
It's time to look past clean, dry, safe.
Yes, yes, exactly. We need to, because in my mind, when we have a senior coming into our buildings, in our communities, we got to figure a way to help them, enable them or create opportunities for them to thrive. And unfortunately, I cannot do it alone.
Right.
It's the mindset shift and the mind change, the change in mindset has to happen throughout the industry, throughout the population.
I agree. And I think that I spent a lot of years with that clean, dry, safe mentality. And there were some emotional moments and there were some good connections and good moments of engagement, but it could have been so much better.
So much
better.
Absolutely.
And I just think the more knowledge and understanding we have of Alzheimer's disease, the better care providers and caregivers that we can become.
Yep, absolutely.
So thank you for that insightfulness.
Thank you, Andrea. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm just having a blast here.
Oh, me too. And I'm learning so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.